Hello everybody, this is B Harper from supermarcy.com and welcome back to another 32 Favorite Things video. In the interest of speeding this entire endeavour up, I'm going to talk about a couple of things in this video. It is going to be extremely brief, not as long as my other videos might be, but I'm going to try and cover a couple of things just to, let's face it, there's not enough days to do one video recording of one thing for every day leading up to my birthday. So without further ado, I've got my list here in case I forget while I'm on the tail. Here we go. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is the Marquis de Sade. The Marquis de Sade, to say the least, is a very controversial figure, but even to this day, he is very, very relevant. Why? Well, he was a social commentator. He was able to look at the world and expose the truths within it using some very taboo methods. By taboo, I mean extreme sexual sort of literature. He really made a point of exposing the upper class for the ruthless bunch they were, as well as showing the lower class as the prey, as it were. So it was a very sort of vicious cycle, and de Sade had caught up on that, and he decided to expose all of this to the people of France with a lot of sort of let's just say interesting side effects. But the way I see it, he is still a very important figure in history, and his writings, even to this day, as ridiculous as they are, should not be written off as the fancies of a perverted bad man. And he was a perverted man, but there was method to his madness. So that brings us to my second point. Batman the Animated Series. The way I figure it, this is the definitive Batman for me. The television series that had the voice of Kevin Conroy as Batman and Mark Hamill as the Joker, that is what I remember. That is the Batman that appeals to me the most. And then you have the Arkham games. You have Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and the upcoming, and I just can't wait for it, Arkham Knight. It's going to be huge. The reason why I feel that way is that it manages to straddle the real with the unreal. It's got the comic book as well as the real dimension that we live in now. It's a very wild and varied television series in terms of setting, because you have a 1940s noir sort of city, but at the same time it's got contemporary sensibilities. And it's such a successful melding of these two worlds done by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. These two had a lot of input on the Arkham games, especially in Arkham City, and for good reason, because a lot of game-changing things happen in that game. So to have them on board, to have the original crew from the Batman Animated Series on board with the video games is a huge deal. And this is the continuity that I tend to follow the most. People have their versions, people have their preferences, but the universe of Batman the Animated Series and its branches is mine, as well as a couple of other people. Right, next, nursing. Nursing has been a humongous journey for me. It's always been challenging, it's never been easy. And it's not something that came to me quite easily, because 15 years ago, if you had asked me if I wanted to become a nurse, I probably would have laughed and said no. But these days, nursing has become a passion of mine. It still is. It's taught me so many things. It's opened my eyes, and it's given me brand new insight to the world around me, as well as its people. Because nursing is about the people. It's about promoting health. It's about making sure that the connections that you forge with your patients is something that lasts with them a lifetime, and they practice a more healthier lifestyle. That may not always be the result, but it's always something that I as a nurse like to strive towards. It's been a hell of a journey, and it's not a chapter in the book that I have yet closed. Who knows, something else might come out of it. I hope it's something great, because it's just been a blast for me. Every single textbook, every single night I've spent stressing over an exam, it has been worth it, because I am helping people and I'm helping myself. Now, Jack the Ripper. Going from the altruistic to the evil, Jack the Ripper is a huge figure of interest for me. He was completely out of his mind. Well, if it was a he, it could have been a she, or it could have even been both. It could have been a they. Who knows? Nobody knows, because the Jack the Ripper case has gone so cold, all we can do is speculate. Sure, you have people saying, oh, we found the identity of Jack the Ripper. No, you haven't, because you have not been able to find ample evidence, okay? You can only go by speculation, and speculation can only go so far. To have Jack the Ripper remain a mystery, Jack the Ripper the murders he did promoted the birth of contemporary forensics. Okay, without Jack the Ripper, and this is going to sound morbid, without Jack the Ripper, I think that our police procedurals still would have been stuck in the Victorian era, or else we would have perhaps been even more behind. We wouldn't have reached those heights of science. But who knows? The very figure of the top hat, the cape, and the cane is synonymous in Western pop culture. He is a figure that we fear. We know nothing about him. Again, if it is a him, it could be a she, it could be a they, who knows? But the fact of the matter is that this mystery has long endured for very good reason. It gave birth to the 20th century of forensic science. And to me, that is a hell of an advancement. It took a hell of a thing, but now we have good results. So I'm not thanking Jack the Ripper, but it's really interesting that out of a tragedy came a miracle. Okay, last thing, fairy tales. Fairy tales are, to me, like the comic books of popular culture. With comic books, like, we have the heroes, we have the villains, we have the unfortunate circumstances, we have the tragedies and the victories. The thing is with fairy tales is that they were used as fables first and foremost to keep the status quo in line, like to stop women from being curious, to stop children from being disobedient, to stop husbands philandering from their wives. All these things had like a moral function, but these days fairy tales have taken on another sort of face. They have become a mythology in themselves. Okay, it dreads me to say this, but Maleficent is somewhat an advance in terms of the fairy tale, because we had Maleficent, who was just like one of the most evil and most spectacular characters in Disney, and then she is given more dimension because of Angelina Jolie. The rest of the movie sucked, but Jolie was awesome when she was allowed to be evil, when she was allowed to sort of stretch her metaphorical wings and show you more and more of a character that you love so much. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing, because the reason why Maleficent was so good was that she was evil for no apparent reason. She was evil just because, okay? She took the being not invited to a christening as an act of war. Okay, bitch was crazy. But in the meantime, we've had quite a few fairy tales being readapted for the big screen. Now, granted, all of them have been made in the interest of money, but at the same time, I feel they have sparked like another interest in the fairy tale world. And that's how fairy tales have endured. Like, they have been told time and again by various storytellers, and we are seeing the results again in this like brand new renaissance, if you want to call that. Well, I'm not sure if it's a renaissance, but you still have like this common major interest in the fairy tale world. Like you have the Cinderella revamp coming up, Into the Woods, with Meryl Streep as some sort of evil creature. I don't know, but it looks good, and that comes from an old sort of folklore tale. And okay, granted, the folklore tale was quite grotesque, and you know, we have the Brothers Grimm and a couple of perverted souls to thank for that. But going back to the fairy tale, they are just as vital to us as the comic books, as the textbooks we get in class for science and everything. Like, they still appeal to us for a reason. They capture our imaginations. They help us, like, live our lives to be in the good life. The good life being, you know, be good to yourself, be good to others, and help the world, not to hinder it. It's all, like, very, very fascinating, and that's a whole sort of 10 lectures in psychology. But going back to fairy tales, they're just as important as they are now as they ever were. And if you ask me, they're just going to continue to endure. So yes, that was my very rushed video. I'm sort of like riding high on winning some medals at a shooting competition, but you know, you didn't listen to me talk to that. You didn't come here to listen to me talk to that, I should say. But thank you very much for listening and enduring my my rabble, and I shall talk to you all later with another bunch of 32 favorite things I like. So see you later and take care. Mwah. Bye bye.